Hey everybody, and welcome to your physics lab your lab class. So this is Physics 1106. This is Physics 2 lab. And we're here in the first 5-week session of Randolph College summer online classes. Okay, so I made this video to get you started, and what you're seeing right now is the Moodle page for this class. Now, if you don't know how to get onto the Moodle for Randolph College, and that probably means that you don't know how to get onto your email from Randolph College, because you also need that. All of our communications are going to start being through Randolph email, not your regular email. You should call 434-947-8000 and ask for the IT help desk, and they'll walk you through how to get on all that. So you're getting this email to both your Randolph email and to your regular emails. Okay, so make sure that you know how to get on your Randolph email, which will allow you to know how to get onto Moodle, and then that you're checking that Randolph email for announcements and etc. for this class during the duration. All right, that being said, let's get started. All right, so first, let's just take a look. You have a syllabus here, and here's the syllabus. You can kind of scroll through, and then each of the labs have a manual that you'll see in each lab section. Okay, so first I want to point out the calendar. All right, so this calendar tells you when things are due, but it also tells you a suggested day to try to start doing the lab and maybe even to finish that lab activity. So when you see something in green on the calendar, it means that's a good day to start this particular lab. And if you can finish it in that day, that's awesome. Because if you kind of let them pile up, you can see over here on Sunday, this coming Sunday, you already are starting activities for lab 2. So it's a good idea to finish up lab 1 before you move on to lab 2, right? But the actual thing that's due for lab 1 is not until the 28th. Now, this class is asynchronous. That means you can do these labs on your own time, but we do have deadlines for when you're turning in stuff. Okay, you can do the labs, at home or anywhere you are. You don't have to sit on Zoom with anybody to do them. But we're suggesting some structure here for you to keep you on track. Okay. All right, so let's take a look at the kind of beginnings of this class. First of all, there's the Zoom conferencing link. This link never changes, and that's how you get onto a Zoom office hour. Or if you made an appointment with me or something, that's how you would get on to a Zoom, because it's always my personal meeting room. Okay, now there's contacts. You can contact me via text or phone. You can also email me. I'll put my email on here. It looks like I didn't put it on here. But text or phone is really good. It's quick. I would say text is better than phoning me because, if I'm in a meeting, I can't answer a call, but I might be able to answer a text. Okay, be aware that if you text me after 9 p.m. Eastern time, I might not get to you till the morning. Okay, now, really important is you're getting a lab kit for this class. And when you get it, which should be sometime this week, by the way, the first couple of labs don't need the lab kit, okay? But when you get that lab kit, it's really important that you check the contents. So there's a thing here that tells you all of the contents of the lab kit. You want to look at the lab kit you got and make sure that everything is there, and email me if there's something missing, because you don't want to get down in the labs and realize you don't have something, and then you're delayed into when you can actually do that activity. Okay, so make sure that's the case. Now, if you don't get your lab kit within this week, you need to email me. I have the tracking numbers for all of your lab kits, so we can make sure that we know what's going on. All right. One more thing to point out about the calendar, as you can kind of see when we in the red are when their labs are due. Sometimes they say informal, and sometimes they say formal written, right? So informal is just kind of a quiz about how you did the lab with some questions. A formal is an actual written lab report that you'll turn in via Moodle. And we have some information about how to do that correctly, so you get the most points. For instance, there's the formal lab rubric. And then when we get to our first formal lab, which is lab 3, there's a whole guidelines and then a quiz on those guidelines, so you know exactly what to do on that, or that formal written report. So some of them are informal, which are just quizzes, and some of them are formal. Okay, so let's take a look down here. Every lab will have its own section like this. So our first lab here is harmonic motion. You don't need the lab kit. It tells you it's an informal lab, not a formal lab, and it gives you a checklist. Now, this first lab time here, I'm sorry, this first lab has a bunch of extra things that you need to do because we're trying to get you ready to do the lab. So for instance, there's the pre-activity, but there's also an Excel quiz, a statistics lecturing quiz, significant figures lecture and quiz. So there's a bunch of like stuff to help you know what to do for all the rest of the labs that happen in this first time. And so notice that these are all due really pretty quickly after class starts. So get started on that right away. Now, the lab manual, right, you can see here has a detailed manual. When we go down to our lab again, you'll see that there's some hints. There's this, we use a simulation for this lab, and there's the link to that lab. There's an Excel file with some data because it's hard to get that data from the simulation. And then there's this informal report quiz that's due on the 28th. So this is just a quiz that you would take about your lab activities. Okay. So that's how this first lab goes. Let's look at a more typical one, and that would be lab 2. So lab 2 is informal again, does not need the lab kit, and then has, you know, some material for you to look at, some info, the simulation that we use, a pre-activity, and then the informal report quiz. This is kind of a more typical, it has a manual as well, kind of lab. Your first formal written lab doesn't need the lab kit. But we give you the formal lab write-up guidelines and a quiz to make sure you understand those. Okay, so we're really trying to get you to get all the points that you should get on these formal lab reports. Okay, so we have about 10, if I remember right, yep, 10 labs to do. Again, you can do these pretty much at your own pace. Meaning, you know, you can do them the night before they're due if you want to, right? I wouldn't suggest that. But try to keep to those deadlines of turning stuff in. Now, I am pretty flexible, but, you know, I don't want a lot of students leaving it all till the last 2 days or something. That's crazy. So try to keep on it. I know that you might have a vacation in the middle of something and then you can't do it for a week. But then when you come back, turn in everything that you missed. Okay. All right. So I think that's pretty much all I need to tell you for this lab. Again, most important thing I think at the very beginning is to look at that lab kit, make sure you get it this first week and make sure everything is in it. Again, here's that contents of the lab kit, right? So make sure that everything's there for you. And I hope that you have fun in the lab and that you keep on track if you can. It's always a good thing. Class is fast. It's 5 weeks and it will be over before you know it. One other thing is that I do have to turn in midterm grades about middle of the class. Now, the midterm grades they're not set in stone. So let's say that you couldn't turn in a bunch of stuff before that midterm grades and you got a very bad grade. But you're going to turn it all in by the end. Like the midterm grade doesn't matter, right? You'll get whatever you get with no penalty. But just be aware that I have to turn those in and they might not reflect too well if you haven't turned everything in that's due before that time. And it's a very short time, like 2.5 weeks. Okay, just be aware of that. And we'll see you virtually in lab, and make sure you're keeping up. Text me if you're having any problems. I will put my email on here right now after I get off this video. And good luck. Bye.